right? We talk about networking and career education. To me, it's as simple as relationships, it's family, it's being in communion with one another.
Yes.
And then in terms of helping children understand the possibilities for the future, to me, yesterday, now, and tomorrow, that's the connection of oneness, of faith and spirituality. And so I was just curious, being that you said those things in context of learning and education, just your thoughts about how relevant that is to career education, life education.
Sure. You know, just taking what you just said and using other words, I don't think there's anything more important for us to do as we work with young people, whether they are 7 years old, or 17, or 25. Nothing is more important than to give that young person a sense of self, to believe in herself, and to be told you can do anything you set your mind to. You have to understand and to envision the possibilities, as I said. And so when I think about what we do with college students or what we do when we're talking to children, it is to expose them to the possibilities, but it is to have them with this belief, I can do it. If I really want it, I can do it. Very few people in careers, as we talk to our students, will actually do exactly what they thought they were going to do when they were in college. That it's more about getting a foundation for thinking, whatever the discipline is. It's one thing if you're going on for grad school in that area, but whether you're going into business or you're going into entrepreneurship, those areas require those broad thinking skills from any major. You can major in English or history and become a great business person because it's, again, the skills that are transferable. And that's what I would say. The final thing, though, is relationship to the larger world. So what is your purpose and how does it get beyond your being able to take care of yourself and your family? It's something we always say. I mean, obviously, we need to be able to have jobs, take care of ourselves and our families, our daughter, whoever it is. But beyond that, what else? What else were you put here to do? What is your purpose? What is your passion? And if you look in my books, I interviewed, the first 2 books, I interviewed parents of kids of color who had done well, students. One book was on boys, one was on girls. These were all college students, but I wanted to go way back to when they were kids and ask their parents, what did you do to help your child to be successful in science and engineering? And the things I just said, the reading of the sense of self, giving them opportunities to see what they might be able to do, putting them in the adult's role. One of the things that the girls said was, when my daddy told me I could do anything, I knew I could do anything. This is why it helps so much. You know, my dad told me I could do it. And so when males come around, they can remember that dad giving them that sense of self to be able to handle themselves well. And the other part, though, is the sense of curiosity, of asking questions. It's really important that we teach young people to ask good questions, even more so than giving me an answer. Ask me good questions. And then surprisingly, and these were kids of color from all religions, heavily Christian, some Muslim, some Jewish, actually, very interesting, with Jewish faith coming out of Ethiopia, for example, you know. But what I saw was this strong sense of faith, whether they were traditional religion people or not, this sense of faith and something that sustained them. In many cases, they might have the Bible, they may have the Quran or whatever, and be going to study. After chemistry, they're going to study the Quran, to study or whatever. And it was that sense of being connected to something bigger than themselves that kept them on the right path.
Well, and that's often the perception, is that science and faith are mutually exclusive.
Right. No. Absolutely not at all. You will find many brilliant scientists who are deeply entrenched, immersed in faith, in their faith. And I always talk about both. You said a good word. In many cases, they will call it faith. Others will talk about spirituality, but it's something beyond the tangible. You know, that thing about hope, faith, and love, or whatever, the greatest is love, but it's the things that are not tangible, quite frankly, that sometimes are the ways in which we deal with all of the uncertainty and tragedy of life. because my students go through so many challenges, whether it's about losing a girlfriend or boyfriend, or not being able to get one, a girlfriend or boyfriend, or having divorce in their family, or having illness in their family. Having that spiritual base can be very helpful, and the ability to connect to other people. You know, my TED Talk talks about the 4 pillars of college success in science, but it's not just science, it's in life. It's the high expectations, and that's for students, but also for us as educators, whether we're in career education or in science. What do we expect of ourselves as we work with our students, for example? The second one is building community among people. Every student, just like every staff member, every faculty member, should have people they can connect with, their kitchen cabinet, people they can bounce things off of, or when they're not feeling good, or when they want to celebrate. And third, it takes professionals to pull professionals into the work, whether they're scientists or artists or whatever. I don't care how good you are, seeing others who can do the work. As your daughter watches you do this, she's learning how to do it. When she gets the opportunity to introduce something to me, she will never forget that. It becomes more comfortable, and she can observe you in the interaction. And finally, being able to evaluate whether it's a program or what's happening in career education or our own lives. You know, we set goals for ourselves, things we want to accomplish. The question is, how do we go about seeing the extent to which we're making progress? Because if you don't take the time to take stock, you just keep doing the same thing. And often a lot of what we're doing is not really working. We don't even get it until we step out of it and look back at it.
Yeah, that's truth. I think of science and faith as that discovery of truth, discovery of purpose.
Yes.
And there's this paradox of self, because you mentioned the significance of self, and yet that significance of the community.
Yes.
So to go inward as a means of going outward and recognizing that of which is God in me, that of which is God in you, our shared humanity.
Yes, yes, yeah. Well, you know, when Dr. King said to us in church that day, and I didn't even know who he was until I asked, who is that guy? And I'm not really wanting to be there as a 12-year-old kid doing my math and eating in the back of church.
We must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force.
How's that for a cliffhanger? To listen to more of our conversation with Dr. Freeman Hrabowski III and what he heard from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the age of 12 years old as he sat eating and doing his math in church, visit soulforceones.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. Peace.